They were pioneers who blazed a trail through the war-torn skies over Europe. Before the Tuskegee Airmen of World War II, no black American had ever been a U.S. military pilot. After the Tuskegee Airmen, the U.S. military would never be the same. Widespread discrimination prevented African Americans from flying during the First World War. For the next 20 years, the pressure would slowly build to allow black pilots to serve in the sky. Finally, in 1941, the Army launched what it called an experiment, the segregated 99th Fighter Squadron. That squadron would train at an airfield near Tuskegee Institute in Alabama, and thus the Tuskegee Airmen were born. To be clear, not every airman was a pilot. For every man who flew, there were 10 keeping him in the air, men and women, military and civilian, who served on ground duty support, like mechanics, supply personnel, cooks, and more. And not all were black. Some were white, or Latino, or Native American. One notable woman who helped the Tuskegee Airmen take off into history was the First Lady of the United States. Eleanor Roosevelt visited the squadron in 1941 and insisted a black pilot take her up, and that photographs would be taken. These photographs helped convince President Franklin Delano Roosevelt to send the unit into action, first in North Africa and later in Europe. The 99th, along with other squadrons, would later form the 332nd Fighter Group in Europe, their planes boasting tails painted bright red. In Europe, the airmen would fly more than 15,000 sorties, completing an unequaled 1,500 combat missions, all while showing great courage, skill, and dedication. Among their decorations, 150 distinguished flying crosses. Squadron leader Benjamin O. Davis Jr. would eventually rise to the rank of 3-star general, receiving a 4th star post-retirement. The Tuskegee Airmen were deactivated in 1946. The experiment a great success, but more than that, the brave flyers had proved themselves in combat, and their performance helped pave the way for desegregation of the military in 1948. Today, the National Park Service's Tuskegee Airmen National Historic Site in Alabama helps tell their story and preserves their memory for all time.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Franklin Donnie D here at Pasadena and in Altadena actually, and we had a celebration for Lieutenant Goodall, Tuskegee Airmen, and I have with me right now two distinguished individuals that's going to tell you a little bit about what they know about this. And I have with me...
My name is Gloria Sanyika. I'm the council representative for Census Tract 4603.02, which is the census tract that we're in. Okay.
And?
I'm Greg Williams, and I'm he's my uncle, Ted Thumpkins, and I'm from the city of Moreno Valley.
And Gregory is my cousin.
Oh, so you're from the Mo Valley?
Yes, sir.
Right off of Paris Avenue, Heacock. All right. And so, what brought you here today?
Well, I was actually working on the Goodall project, and I was just so excited when talking with Eugene about being on the project. I couldn't come to a lot of the meetings, but I was definitely giving him a lot of support.
Okay. And how about yourself, my brother?
Well, I came once. The name Goodall was mentioned. I worked with a Charles Goodall that was an engineer on the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad.
Okay.
And then I heard about an award for Tuskegee Airmen, and I'm a military brat, so it was quite natural for me to respond, especially having a 100-year-old Tuskegee Airman who just lost his brother. We're going to bury him on Tuesday. He was a U.S. Air Forceman. And, nothing but thanks and gratitude for years and years of guidance. I'm just thankful.
Yeah, we're thankful for you guys. So I have a question I personally want to know. How many living Tuskegee Airmen are there still alive? Do any one of you guys know?
I would be guessing.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah, someone told me 2. I'm not sure. Okay. Oh.
Every now and then I'll see 12 or 14 gathered. That's the whole way to break down the complexity. You need to get to these events so we can cherish the event and cherish the love.
You know, and that's why these young kids running around here today, they're running having fun, but I know them, and I'm making sure that they're listening and that they get some of this and understand some of this, not just during Black History Month, but year-round, you know.
Black History Month should be year-round.
Well, there used to be Negro History Week.
And we evolved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a blessed day.
You too.
Yeah, I'm just welcome to be here and to show honor. even though Ted's not here, I'm here. And wherever I'm there, Ted's there.
And all right. Glad to meet you, my brother. And you too, man. I'm here with Rodney Wallace, former Pasadena PD, and a man that's doing a lot of things in the community. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine.
All right. Well, what brings you up here today?
Well, this is all home. You know, in school, I grew up here in Altadena, and I still live here in the Pasadena area. So this is all home. It's all family. And when we start talking about the event that we have here, talking about the Tuskegee Airmen, it kind of hits home for me. I have 3 uncles that were in the Air Force, and I have to believe that they got involved in the Air Force way back then, basically on the influence from the success of the initial Tuskegee Airmen.
Okay.
So it's great. It's great.
How long have you lived in Altadena, and when did you first meet the gentleman?
We moved to Altadena in 1968 with 5 kids under the age of 10. And we did not take it personally when Mr. Goodall added some height to his wall.
Oh, okay.
And a year after we moved in, his wife brought over a tray of cookies, stating that she was pleased that our kids were well behaved.
All right, okay. And that was 1968?
1968.
Okay, now how long did he live in this house?
He lived here, I believe, 53 years because he was already there when we moved in.
There's some deep roots, ladies and gentlemen. 53 years in Altadena. You know, a lot of towns, you don't hear about the history of black people and people living in these communities. But Pasadena and Altadena have a long history. And you've been there since 68?
1968, when the neighborhood changed because of the court-ordered busing.
Okay.
And we stopped being able to send our kids to neighborhood schools. But that's a whole nother political.
That's a whole nother story. Well, listen, Joan Bendy, it's been nice talking with you. And I'm here with Kemet Hagan, longtime community man of the Pasadena area, Altadena area, former church member, a friend of mine. How you doing, Kemet?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic on this great day.
All right. And what brings you up here to Altadena today?
As a part of a ceremony for Oliver Goodall and also being a member of the Altadena Rotary Club to initiate this great event as a plaque in remembrance of the Tuskegee Airmen that lived in the local area.
Now tell me, Goodall, it rings a bell for those out there who don't know. Who is Goodall?
His name was Lieutenant Oliver Goodall, who lived in the house right behind me and who served in the Second World War as a Tuskegee Airman.
Okay, Red Tail.
Yes, Red Tail trained and served in the Second World War and was commenced into air battle.
All right, well, I want to thank you for joining us and giving us some insight on what you know about what's going on here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too, Kemet.
Well, basically, I'm the public relations chairperson for the Los Angeles chapter of Tuskegee Airmen, and we're here for Lieutenant Oliver Goodall. He was Tuskegee Airman in the 477 Bomber Group, the 477 Bomber Group during World War II, and his history of this man is so historical. I be here all day talking about him. I'll make it short and sweet, cause they named the post office on Colorado Boulevard after Oliver Goodall. And that was done by Miss Dolores Hickenbottom, which she's here today. But Oliver Goodall was a great man. He was the public relations chairperson for our chapter before I took over. After he passed away, that chapter asked, since I was so close to him, asked me if I would take over his position. And I said, okay, well, just help me out. And so that's where we're at. And I had so many interviews with Oliver in this house right here. A lot of talk. I got a lot of stories. So one day when you really want to sit down and talk about it, I can tell you so much about Mr. Goodall. But I'm the last person he's seen at an event. I invited him to come to Washington High School in L.A.
Right.
Because he's an alumni of Washington High School in 1938. And I had, go general.
Generals.
Once a general,
Always a
Always
general.
a general.
All right.
You got it. You got it. And what happened is that when I had him be the grand marshal for a homecoming game, for a parade and a football game. And that Friday, when he got ready to leave that Friday, I said, Oliver, you okay? Because I could drive you home out here. I had somebody follow me and bring me back. He said, no, I'm okay. I said, something was wrong. That Tuesday, I was in a big meeting Tuesday, and I called the house up to see how he was doing. And a young man answered the phone. I said, Mr. Goodall there? He said, no, this is Mr. Goodall. The boy was too young. I said, no, you're too young. So, I'm his grandson. I said, this is Simeon. I just called you. How you doing? Oh, Simeon. Oh, how you doing, Simeon? Sad to say, man, that my grandfather passed away early this morning. I must have hit the floor. I fell on the floor.
Well, when was that? When did that take place?
2016. Yeah.
All right. Well, we are glad to be able to talk with you. Can we get a shot of this picture here? Let's get a shot. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. And this is what all of this is about here today. I'm so glad to met you, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, we came here to celebrate the accomplishment of the owner of this house, and it's a good thing. So we thought we'd contribute.
Okay. Yes. And what brought you up here? I know you was with your father. And what did you know about the Tuskegee Airmen?
Oh yeah, Oliver Goodwell, he's a great man, and it's a blessing to be out here with my father, keeping the legacy alive. He was very much about legacy, so that's what we're doing, paying it forward to Mr. Goodwell.
Now, I know that I've seen you guys performing at a lot of different events and things. How long have you guys been doing this?
Since before he was born.
Well, I know you've been. So, if we wanted to find out some drum lessons or something, how can we find you guys?
We are located at 2279 North Lake Avenue in Altadena, and we have drum classes on Saturdays and Thursdays for little kids, Saturdays in the afternoon for adults.
Okay, well, you
Airman Goodall, I've known him for about 25 years now. My father was a Buffalo soldier in World War II, and back in the day, a lot of the communities, especially during Black History Month, they would always ask for a Buffalo soldier, Tuskegee Airmen, Montford Marines to show up at different events. My dad died in 2002. I'm a Vietnam vet, and I'm also a member of the 9th and 10th Horse Cavalry Association, which are the Buffalo Soldiers Association. Well, I started coming to these events in the name of my father to carry on that tradition, and that's where I ran into Airman Goodall. And a lot of times when these programs were out of the city, in Orange County, Riverside, San Bernardino, a lot of these old guys didn't want to drive out there. Airman Goodall always drove himself. And he was in his 70s then, and I used to think, man, this old guy is out there driving. Now I'm in my 70s, and I'm doing the same thing.
No, you're not.
I'm doing the same thing that Airman Goodall used to do. But we would always meet up. Usually he and I would be the only ones that would show up to the Santa Ana Black History Month Parade or some other outlying city's Black History event, the Nixon Library, whoever was doing something. He and I would be the only ones who would show up, and that's where I got to know him. Had a lot of respect for this man. You know, he was a mentor to me, and I owed it to come up here and honor him today as we acknowledge, his service to our country and the Tuskegee Airmen.
Well, okay. Well, sounds like you've got your hands full with a lot of duties, don't you?
Yeah, we keep pretty busy. A lot of people don't really know the story of the Buffalo Soldiers. I mean, they know of Buffalo Soldiers or these black guys on horseback. But the Buffalo Soldiers, if I can say this, I'll say this kind of briefly. The Buffalo Soldiers were the first black men who could voluntarily enlist in the military when this country was not at war. Now, we served in the Civil War, in the Revolutionary War, but during those wars, they were drafted. When those wars were over, they were immediately discharged. In 1866, Congress said, well, look, if you want to be a part of this country, you have to serve in the military. And for the first time, they allowed black men to voluntarily enlist in the military as an experiment. It really wasn't supposed to be successful, but because of that introduction, now we have Tuskegee Airmen and Montford Point Marines and other minorities in the military today. So the Buffalo Soldiers were the first minorities to serve in the military on a voluntary basis when the country was not at war, and they opened the door for all the other minorities who came after them. So like I said, if it wasn't for the Buffalo Soldiers, we wouldn't have Harlem Hellfighters, we wouldn't have the Triple Nickel Parachute Unit, we wouldn't have the 761st Tank Battalion, or the Montford Point Marines, or Tuskegee Airmen. They all owed their service to the Buffalo Soldiers, who were the first to be in the military as a minority, to show this country, hey, give us a chance, remove some of these restrictions from us, and watch what we can do. My father lived long enough to see me volunteer to join the Navy during the Vietnam War. I was trained as a nuclear engineer. After there were 2 nuclear power fast attack submarines, I was the only black engineer on the subs that I've served on. But I know if it wasn't for my father, Buffalo Soldiers, Tuskegee Airmen, and those men who came before me, I would never have that opportunity to serve my country in the military as a nuclear engineer.
All right, well, you know what? Pass that down to some young kids and let them know about the legacy and the great things that you have done, okay?
We'll do.
Thank you very much. I'm here with Christian Daly, young man that's into a lot of different things here in the area. And let me talk to him a little bit and let him talk to you. How you doing, Christian?
Doing well. How are you?
All right. Tell us a little bit about who Christian Daly is.
All right. So I'm a Altadena, Pasadena native. Grew up here, went down to Elliott and Blair High School. Went away for school, but came back through work and was able to give back through the County of Los Angeles and be of service to this community I grew up in.
Okay, so you're a local young man. What high school did you go to?
Blair High School.
Oh, that's right, Blair. The Vikings?
Yes, sir.
All right, okay. Bulldogs here. But anyway, so tell me, I understand that you got some political, some views, not views, but I mean some aspects, some things that you want to do politically. What are you about to do?
Yes, sir. So I am running for Congress to represent Altadena and the surrounding communities in the 27th District in Washington, D.C. as a representative in the House of Representatives.
Did you hear that, ladies and gentlemen? Can you just say that one more time? Because I want to hear that.
Yes, sir. Christian Daly, I'm running to be your congressman for Altadena and the surrounding communities in the 27th District.
You guys heard that right there. Okay, so what are you, since you're local, you know a lot of the things that are going on in this area. What's the number one thing, if you get in office, you want to work on?
Right. For me, it comes down to economics, and that goes to affordable housing and looking to see what we can do to lift people up, not only those that are on the street, but also those that are at the doorway to become homeless themselves.
How can we contact you?
It's our website. You can find our contact information, www.christiandalyforcongress.org.